Irish monks began journeying into Europe around 432 AD. Among them was the great Saint Columban. But in the 15th century, after a long period of oppression and persecution, this missionary zeal came to an end. 500 years later, amidst a climate of unrest, a new spirit of enthusiasm and adventure was reborn. It was in such climate, when two people shared a vision and answered a similar call, that the missionary sisters of St. Columban came to be. Father John Blowick, a young gifted theology professor working with the Maynooth Mission to China, had been talking about a congregation of sisters to work with the priests in China. At that time, Lady Frances Maloney, a young widow who has devoted herself to working with the poor after the death of her husband, heard of the China mission and felt the call to respond. From these meetings and correspondences, it was certain that a seed was being sown. 9 young women from Ireland, England, and as far as Australia, whose spirits were resonating to the sounding of God's Spirit and action, to those who had already heard the cry of China, were the first to come to the small convent in Cahercon, County Clare. On their reception to the novitiate, they heard Bishop Fogarty. The future history of the new congregation is still heaven's secret. May the virtue of St. Columban adorn your lives until Christ calls you home. Mutual charity and the spirit of prayer are the signs by which they would be recognized as disciples of Christ. Their lives and missionary undertakings were to be in harmony with God's will. All missionaries must realize that it is God's work you are called to do, and by yourselves you can do nothing. On September 29, 1924, the young religious congregation was formally erected with a first profession of vows of 7 novices.
On the 15th of November 1926, amid civil wars and functions in China, the first group of 5 sisters to make the foundation arrived in Hanyang, accompanied by the Superior General. The sisters' first apostolate were that of catechetical instruction and sharing the gospel of Christ and health care. Catechumenate and dispensaries were established. In 1931, the most devastating floods in China's history brought about cholera and typhoid in the population. The sisters carried heavy load of nursing and caring the sick and the dying. They endured many trials and tribulations, including house arrest and an escape. The future was bleak, but hope was very much alive.
From the first mission founded in China, and with more sisters making their professions, the congregation has expanded to other mission territories. In 1939, USA, 1939, Philippines, 1947, Burma, 1948, Hong Kong, 55, Korea, 1963, Peru, 1965, England, 1974, Chile, 1990, Pakistan, 2006, reopened Myanmar, formerly Burma.
On November 23, 1974, the Philippine Novitiate was opened in Pinaglabanan in San Juan, Metro Manila. 2 years later, in November 1976, Sisters Florentina Lasaca and Grace de Leon made their first vows. Many more Filipina sisters followed, and over the years, they have been missionaries to China, Hong Kong, Korea, Myanmar, Pakistan, Chile, and Peru.
The 33rd International Eucharistic Congress that was held in Manila in 1937 brought about a true religious renewal in the country. But the global war that started in Europe also brought unrest in the country. Japan invaded the Philippines. It was in such climate when the Columban sisters opened the Philippine mission. Focus: education, Catholic schools, and basic health care. Bishop Madriaga of the Diocese of Lingayen, Dagupan, requested the Columban Sisters Superior General to open 2 new foundations in the diocese. On May 24, 1939, 5 sisters arrived in Manila. Arriving in Malasiki, they were welcomed by the parish priests and the people. As requested, they opened a training center to prepare young women to teach catechesis to children and to young teenagers in local schools and barrios. Lingayen. The sisters were requested to open a dormitory for high school girls studying in public schools, which later became Center for Catechetical Programs. Formal education was also a need, and elementary and high schools were opened, which in later years, tertiary level degree courses were also offered. On April 20, 1941, 4 sisters went to Misamis to take over the administration of Immaculate Conception School, which became a college in 1948. In 1953, the sisters opened a high school in Molave, and in the same year in June, 3 sisters came to St. Joseph's School in Olongapo in time for the opening of the new school year. A second school, the St. Columban College, was assigned to the sisters to administer the 3 departments in 1964. A parish clinic was also assigned to the sisters to administer. 3 sisters were assigned to begin the mission in Tangub to administer the St. Michael's School in 1957. Meanwhile, there were immediate needs to accept Tudela School and Sinakaban. In the same year, 3 sisters were requested to administer the school and the clinic of Our Lady of Remedios Parish in Malate. The parish of Labrador welcomed the sisters joyously with a band playing as they entered the town in 1960 upon invitation by the parish priest. They took over the administration of St. Columban High School.
The social action programs and work for justice and peace. In the mid-70s, sisters were beginning to be more involved in the social pastoral needs of the parishes. Family life apostolates began in Molave and extended to the Diocese of Pagadian. In Luzon, the Diocese of Lingayen Dagupan Family Life Apostolate was coordinated by the Columban sisters. This extended to the Alaminos Diocese in Western Pangasinan. Bishop Bern of Iba in 1976 invited the sisters into new mission adventure that is, of medical work. Sisters were sent to the towns of San Narciso in the service of combating tuberculosis, which was prevalent in the diocese. Other sisters ventured into hospital chaplaincy through the clinical pastoral education, formation of seminarians and religious and future formators. With the proclamation of martial law in 1972, the situation of the country became more bleak, with more people living in poverty and injustices were being perpetrated. Responding to this situation, the new apostolates emerged. Some of our sisters became members of the rural missionaries in Lanao del Norte, urban poor apostolates in Cagayan de Oro and Manila, task force detainees and other socio-pastoral ministries and work for justice and peace. As we folded our various formal education ministries, we began in 1993 the apostolate to the spatially gifted people and with disabilities. The small center that was started in Tinago, Ozamis was further developed and expanded. Today, the Community of Hope Center in Catadman, Ozamis continues to serve the children, adults, and their families within the Ozamis Archdiocese. A pastoral ministry to the people living in the public cemetery of Pasay was started in 2011. It offers feeding and scholarship programs to the young people living in the area and studying in nearby public schools and universities.
Pastoral ministries to indigenous people care for the earth. Back in 1983, the sisters ventured into the apostolate with the tribal people, in particular the Subanan people in the Diocese of Pagadian. Through the dialogue of life with other cultures and faith, the ministry to the Subanan people had given emphasis to helping the people reclaim their dignity and to protect their ancestral homes. The call to protect our common home and care of the environment with special focus on Pope Francis' Laudato Si is being responded in various apostolates initiated by the sisters and our lay associates in the provinces of Pangasinan and Laguna.